Alright, and welcome everybody. We have just begun the boarding process, and there is the preliminary load sheet already coming. One sec. Alright, so yeah, the passengers just started boarding and the cargo is loading. That means we've done all the preliminary items beforehand now. We've just done them, and we're now going to be doing or continuing with the pre-flight procedures. Yeah, we're taking this A340-600 from Doha over to Barcelona. The flight time is, let's see here, 6 hours and 17 minutes, which is a pretty chill flight. Flight level 360 today. We're taking about 68 tons of fuel today. And this airplane, this airframe specifically, apparently. Oh no, is that still the same bug? Oh, I hope not. Anyways, this airframe specifically, because there is an option for it, is a high gross weight variant of the A340-600. Now, unfortunately for us, we are not even close to what our max takeoff weight could be with this variant. In fact, we're not even close to what the regular variant would be. So we're not that heavy today. We do have a good amount of passengers. We have about 420 passengers today, with a max of 440, but the cargo is very not so very full, and of course we don't require too much fuel today. Right, our limiting weight in fact today is actually our landing weight, which is also bumped up quite significantly, and we're underloaded there by 18,690 kilograms. So even for the max landing weight, we are well below, and we have really no worries today when it comes to weight. Yeah, let's go ahead and get this show on the road. We're going to do our pre-flight procedures now. And let's just verify that GSX is doing its thing, because this airplane waiting for door action, open door 2L. Alright, see, there we go. So this airplane has issues with GSX. I even installed a custom... There it is. I even installed a custom SimBrief profile, not SimBrief profile, sorry, a custom profile, GSX profile. There we go. Now I have it. Now I can talk for it. So hopefully things work out properly and nicely. But we shall see, right? So it requires these two doors, I guess. We can see the passengers boarding, and it's going to take a little while, so we have some good amount of time today. And I'm going to take a screenshot of that. That was pretty nice. Cool. Let's go and continue with the pre-flight procedures. So crew supply, ground control, captain, no lights. Resets are in. Just an FYI, I know a lot of people call them circuit breakers, which, I mean, do whatever you want, right? But they're not really circuit breakers, just an FYI. They're resets. There is a big difference. Just to keep that in mind. If you want to go into the technicals more, then hopefully that is enough motivation to tell you that you were wrong. They're not circuit breakers, they are resets, and there is a difference. Alright. Strobe lights to auto. No seatbelt signs, stay off or still refueling. Auto arm. This is set to auto. You can see there's auto, auto norm, auto low, auto high, and the auto system is dependent on what kind of passengers we insert here. So the air conditioning is smart enough, it reads this value that you insert here. Same thing with the 350 and the 380, and it then regulates the air conditioning as it needs. Right now we don't have air conditioning except for the low pressure air, so the air conditioning card is connected, and that is how our passengers are getting some nice warm air slash cool air. It's not that hot outside, I guess. I don't know what the humidity here is. Let me just check. We can check the weather. Dew point 19, yeah, it's relatively humid. So I think they could appreciate some air conditioning. Alright, let's go to DC, and we're going to select battery 1 to on, verify that the charging process begins. It does. Battery 2 on, that is also checked, and APU bat, and that is also checked. Wonderful. Let's go to the overhead fuel pump, stay off for now. That looks good. I don't think I would expect these to display in a fire test. They could potentially display in an actual engine fire, but the fire test I don't think actually triggers those. but I would have to double check that. Okay, let's go make sure that no lights here, and we're going to continue. Again, no lights, everything is in the correct positions. We're waiting for some extra information regarding our cargo, if there's any special cargo that we need to do here. For now, I'm going to keep them at the 15-degree position. Actually, we can put this in the forward in the 5-degree position, and the aft will leave it 15 for now. Or the bulk. Let's keep it that way. This is all checked. This set of data is checked. Unfortunately, which I think is a big mistake, is the ACPs are all linked up, which is unfortunate. And also the CVR test here is not quite what I know. In the 330, 340, for one, you don't hear the tone unless you have a headset plugged in. And two, so what is correct is that it goes up like this to the 1 mark. However, the unit that I know is once it reaches the 1 mark, it gets rid of all the other display, the LEDs, and it only displays the 1 mark. So it runs up like it does here, but then as soon as it reaches 1, these lights here should extinguish, and only the 1 should illuminate. That's the system I know. But I know there could potentially be a lot of different variations to that. Again, resets are in, that's checked. This should be off. If this was on, the display should work. So obviously the system is not working. So just if there's a system not working, just make this button in-op. I mean, I know that could potentially make a lot of other buttons in-op here, but well, I would say a lot, but a couple. But something like a data loader, you can go ahead and not animate that. I think that should be fine. Alright, let's continue. What was that? I want to make sure I didn't press anything. No. Okay, that must be the charging cycle or something. This is all checked. This looks good. Auto, norm. This should be in GPS, not there. And explain this works. So I'm not sure what's going on there. The date is the March 21st, 2026 is checked. And looks good. DCDUs are on. This is good. Everything else here. No auto brake simulation. No brake fan simulation. In explain, you actually had the option to switch between yes or no. Here they removed it for some reason. I don't know why. But that's definitely on my list. Then continuing here, 1 to 2.8, 1 to 1.5 is checked. ACP is pretty much set. We're setting to internals. That's checked. We're gonna go at +4. That's good. Doors open. Taxi cams stay off for now. No, don't need them. Normal. Thrust service idle. Off. Norm. We'll return. This is set as required. 1 to 1.5 is checked. We're gonna set system 1 because we're the pilot flying. The captain's the pilot flying. On, off, or standby, and above. Wonderful. And then we're going to go ahead and clear GPS primary on both sides because we don't need that flag. That's just in the way. We're going to put in a ground temp of 26 degrees. The rest should check out. I can check or double check the top of cruise temperature, -51. So now something that's also a bug, if you just put in 51, the real Toliss unit will recognize this, or will always default to minus for the cruise level temp. In the what is it called, Toliss, it goes to, interestingly enough, there's two bugs here. Oh, there it is. There's two bugs here, interestingly enough. For one, this should be large font because I've inserted it manually. I don't know why it's small font. And second, it should not default to positive. It should default to negative. Let's do that again. Now it looks good. Also, this whole thing should be shifted one to the right. There should be a gap right here. But anyways, that's just formatting stuff. All right, flight plan. There's a whole lot of stuff I could say about the FMGC, but we'll save that for another video. Okay, so today's departure runway 34 left, and the SID is the Tulip to Whiskey. That's it. Not Tulip. Sorry, Tulip to Whiskey departure. That's the one. None. Insert. Now that I messed up, verify that the discontinuity is not there. It isn't. And we can check for that. Let me check what my iPad is at. Okay, he's at 14%, so I am happy to showcase that as well. I'm gonna unload this. We're gonna go, there we go. Okay, so then the arrival, we're expecting the ILS 24 right. We're gonna go with the Zulu and the Averso to whiskey. Inserted is checked. We'll insert that, and then we're going to go down to the alternate flight plan and insert our data there. LARPA for Papa. Insert. And then arrival is the 24 left. Palma de Mallorca, Tolso. To Papa. Insert via pause is checked. Alright, cool. Then what we're gonna do is, if we needed to insert any step climbs, now this should be called just wind data, not axis. Axis, this is a very old standard. This is like Rev 1 or younger. This is yeah, it should just say wind data. Plus missing features such as constant Mach and RT are missing here. They should also exist. So they're not simulated. That's why they're missing, by the way. They're not missing because there's a wrong logic. It's just they're not simulated. Okay, let's check what our load. We have some dangerous goods, I guess. Dangerous goods. Medical supplies. Fish, seafood. So probably frozen. Yep, frozen. And the temperatures need to be about 40 degrees Celsius. So we're going to go ahead and put that to 40 degrees Celsius, which it is. And this, we don't have any pets, is what I'm seeing here as well. So we're going to go ahead and go minus or to 5 degrees here as well, so that both cargo temperature selectors are in the proper positions. Okay, we're going to continue now. OTHH 3-4 left, 336 at 25. And then we're going to go to data, pilot waypoints, 4 left, 336 at 25, and we're going to call it 4 left, 25, 4. Done. Brad nav. This should be inhibited. The slope indication should be inhibited in the pre-flight phase. It will display once we're airborne. That's when it will display. So that's okay. Doha. LS frequency should be correct. This is all checked and fine. Init, wind data request. I wish they would simulate some delay here, like the real unit. And also a very big thing, even, I'm pretty sure even Rev 1 has it where you can have multiple levels in here. I have to double check Rev 1. The Rev 1 is so old that this needs to be updated anyways. Most A330, A340s that I know run Rev 1A still, don't have Rev 2 yet. Only very, very few have that. So this is very important also for step climb flights. So I hope this gets added very, very soon. And also the logic here is a bit reversed. In the real unit, I would expect to press up, so slew up key to go down the list, and slew down key to go up the list. But the way you can think of this is in what direction, if you're on your iPhone, for example, or on your phone or tablet, whatever, in what direction do you move your finger to go to scroll? Right? To scroll down, you move your finger up, so up slew. To scroll down, you move your finger down. Sorry, to scroll up, you move your finger down, so you do this down slew. And that's how it works here as well. That's the logic behind it. Here it's reversed. Alright, let's go to the next page. We're expecting a 0 fuel weight. I have my preliminary load sheet here. 228.9 is checked. We're going to put a default value of 28% of CG. And a block fuel we're planning with 68 tons. Maybe we're already done with fueling. Oh yeah, we are. Let's see if signs can come on at this point as well. Alright. This should be 0.8. Route reserve. is 3.7. Contingency. Sorry, I'm looking at the wrong one. Contingency 5%, 2.5. That's actually quite nice. I'll keep it at that. Alternate is 3.9. That's also quite right. I'm gonna go ahead and just override that. 3.9. Final is 3.7, giving us an extra of 6.6. Trip 50.5. That's a bit less. 621. Probably that's why. If we go to flight plan, extra fuel on board. This is what I'm testing today, by the way, is to see how the fuel burn is like. We're gonna go all the way down. It says 17.4 here. It says 16.7. Okay. 16.7. Normally I would expect it to be a little bit higher. I just want to try something. Yeah, this is where I like to play a little bit around with it. If I were to go like that, does it change here as well? 16.7. I'll go like this. I don't think it really reflects the FMGC. Alright, so 16.7. We're gonna have to see what happens when we're airborne. So this could also be potentially an issue with, for example, the time. The time is off a little bit. So 16.7 to 17.4 is not a big difference, but it could explain the time. We're checking the distance. Distance is 2827, 2856. Okay, that could also play a role. So there could be a combination of roles, but this is pretty close, so I'm actually relatively happy with that, and that should be pretty good as well. Alright, performance page, flaps 3. Expecting flex 568. Now I'm pretty sure in the real airplane, because the FMGC typically with these airplanes has D rate as well, that is when you would require to insert an F or a D for the D rate or the flex temp. Because this FMGC that they're simulating only has flex, I would not expect to have to insert F for flex, because the FMGC will already know that, because that's the only option, right? So I would not expect to insert an F, and I would not expect the F to display here. That's just my expectation here. I've never been able to test a unit besides the 320 unit that doesn't have D rate, takeoff D rate, for the 330 or 340. So I can't tell you if what I'm saying is true. That's just based off of logic and the option that is available in the A320 FMGC as well. Because there you can also have D rate takeoffs if you wanted to. There it's the same logic, right? So if you have D rate and flex as an option, you do need to insert D rate, so D or F for flex. But if you don't, which is a standard only flex, you don't have to do that, and you don't see the F. So I would expect the 340 to not be any different, or the 330 FMGC variant to be any different. So I think this is also incorrect logic. Engine out, 1600. Let me just double check that GSX is doing its thing. It looks like open door to left. It is open. Open door to left. Now let's just open. There was an issue where you needed, or it says open door to left, but then it's like open door to right or something. Okay, close. So technically speaking, porting should be complete. Did it just reset itself or something, or what's going on? What the hell happened to GSX? Okay, I don't know. GSX is being weird. Which means I'm probably not going to get my final load sheet, which is going to suck. What am I? We're here. Speeds. 61, 61, 66. And no simulation of D-rate climb. Otherwise, I would insert D-rate climb 2, which is used in all scenarios. So it doesn't matter how heavy you are, even at max takeoff weight, at least with the default max takeoff weight. With the high gross weight with the high gross max takeoff weight, I'm not sure. But with the regular standard A340-600 max takeoff weight, you would use D-rate 2 in all scenarios. Alright, so that's not there, excuse me, and we're gonna go here. So cruise, optimum and recommended max is checked. I'm happy with that. And I'm gonna insert the return runway in here. That's checked. And update add. This is also a Rev 1 thing. In Rev 1, I'll have to think. It could potentially be Rev 1A too. No, I think it's only Rev 1. This stays even with GPS. In Rev 1A and above, this goes away with GPS. So this is also very old standard that is still here. Alright, let's go secondary copy. We're going to insert new destination. We're going to insert 34 left 25. And then we're going to press hold. Normally you would have to insert the hold. That's not simulated. And then we're going to go to performance, and here's where things get very interesting. It doesn't copy any of this performance data. It should copy everything here. It should copy everything here as well. By the way, the calculations here is fine that it's not correct, that it's not here. That's fine. I'm okay with that. But if there was a D-rate simulation, it would copy that as well. And it should also copy anything here if we did insert anything, which we didn't. But what's really wrong is the transition level, flight level is absolutely incorrect, and the go-around is absolutely incorrect as it looks like. Which doesn't make sense. It seems to get its data from somewhere very strangely. I don't know where, but yeah, I don't know. It's confusing. I have yet to figure that out. 050 and to make it clear is where the data should come from is from the secondary destination, right? Our secondary destination is Doha. So if we go to flight plan, our destination is Doha. So it should get its data from Doha. So it should reference Doha as its destination, and so it should properly use the transition here. And it should not be flight level 50. That's the default value, I guess. Yeah, I don't know what's going on there. It should be around 13,000 plus the extra 500. So the logic of the Toliss unit is it typically goes with your transition altitude, and then adds 500 in small font. So we're gonna go 140 and put that in there. Temperature is 26 QNH 1009er. And in case we need to return to runway 34 right, I'm gonna go ahead and put that in. Approach 34 right. We can expect with category D 239 minimums. We'll put that in there. And that's checked. Secondary, we're obviously also going to insert that in here. Normally you don't have to insert those kinds of things in a secondary flight plan. You only have to insert specific items, not departures and arrivals. Okay, otherwise I'm happy with this. This looks good. And we're going to go to init page, wait for a final load sheet, which hopefully will come here momentarily. Not sure why it defaults to ADF. That's pretty much never used. So that's like a bad default, honestly. Just stick to VOR. Initial climb, because I still have it up because I'm a doofus. Initial climb is 4,000. We're going to set 4,000 plus 100. And then I'm going to not forget to hide the iPad this time. Cool. Oxygen test we can do. Very simplified system. Is pretty much everything is wrong with this, but whatever. At least you can press a button and hear a sound. Climb nav, fluid factor is 1 and 2, 4,100, QNH 1009, altitude is checked, speed, heading, all good. Same here, everything looks good here. Pressurization, checked, nope, that should be close to 0, because our elevation is close to 0. That's not quite correct, but landing elevation is checked, status of the airplane should be normal at this point, it is, which is checked. But it was even before, unrealistically, so what do I say there? Alright. So we would just wait for boarding to complete, cargo to load, and for the final load sheet to arrive. And then we shall see. Alright, so the pretty much ready to go. We're getting the load sheet started, so we're going to go and set the fuel pumps on. We'll start the APU as well. Then we're going to prepare for our final figures, wait for the FADEC to power, there it is, and we can now select the start. And so let's go ahead and get started. So 228.9 is check 0 fuel weight CG is indeed 26%, 26, and the rest stays. That gives us a takeoff weight of 296.1. So $96.1, enter, and a CG of 29.2, enter. Flex standard, config 3 off, anti-ice off, runway condition dry, everything else looks good. I'm happy. Let's compute. And nothing changed. 161, 161, 166, flex 68, and trim is up 2.4. So up 2.4, and insert that. Wonderful. You can also do takeoff uplink requests if you want to, so you can do these calculations here as well. But I'm pretty happy with that. Alright, APU is available. Let's go ahead and deselect the external powers. We're going to go to ground services and we're going to disconnect all the ground equipment and apply the APU bleed. So cockpit preparation checklist, because Toliss likes to put in procedures rather than checklists. I of course have my own checklist, luckily, which I need to find. Where is it? Did I put it back? Alright, so cockpit preparation checklist, gear pins and covers, remove, fuel quantity, we have 68 tons. And that looks balanced. Perfect. Seatbelt signs on, adheres. Nav and BRF is 1009er set once, twice, and 3 times, and all within 35 feet is checked. Wonderful. That is all working. Let's go ahead and close the cockpit door. We do a departure briefing. We've already got our clearance, which means we can update our initial climb, transponder set, departure set. We're going to close our doors. Let's go to ground services and let's close everything up. We'll request pushback. So beacon on, thrust levers idle, parking brake set, acupressure is in the green. So the before start checklist, parking brake is set, takeoff speeds and thrust. 161, 161, 166, flexing 68 degrees. Windows closed, beacon on. Before start checklist is completed, slides are armed. We're waiting for the nose wheel steering disc. There it is. Memo.
Departure checks completed.
Alright, we're gonna put the nose to the right.
Release parking brakes, please. Commencing push. All engines clear. Start at will.
So engine start sequence of this airplane is 1, 2, then 3 and 4, and you can start both engines at the same time but with a slight offset. So that's what we're going to do. And the offset is at 10% N3, which is the equivalent of N2 for most other engine manufacturers. So let's start number 1. We'll wait for 10% N2, N3 in this case. There it is, and then start 2. I think it goes a little bit too fast, to be honest. It would be a little bit slower, but that's alright. Then we wait for both engines to be available, and then we can do the same process with number 3 and then 4. Starting 3 and starting 4.
Please set parking brakes.
That's certainly an interesting thing happening there. Alright, parking brake. Go and set.
Waiting your confirmation for a good engine start. Unlocking gear.
after start checklist. We'll do once they are. We'll do it now. Anti-ice off. Econ status is checked. Pitch trim is set to 29.2%, and rudder trim is neutral. Alright, pin has been displayed, showcased, and what I will do is I'm going to do a flight control check now, because this airplane also doesn't simulate the pedal disconnect. At least I haven't found a way to do it, excuse me. So we're going to have to check the rudder here while we are not moving. Pull up, pull down, neutral, pull left, pull right, neutral, rudder, pull left, pull right, and neutral. Cool. Alright, let's go and get started. Parking brake release, taxi camera on, the appropriate lights, and we are already rolling. Let's do a brake check. Pressure 0, and we're out of here. Alright, so we're not clear to line up yet. We're going to do the taxi checklist though. Flight controls checked, flaps config 3 set. Radar and predicted wind shear system on and auto. Engine mode selector normal, econ mode takeoff, no blue. Let's start right here. And talking about weather radar, there is apparently an issue where the airplane does stutter during takeoff, and I've actually had this quite a bit the last few flights I've done. And some people are saying that it's possibly the weather radar. So what we're going to do is we're going to switch off the weather radar. We're going to try to keep the predictive wind shear system on. But we're going to turn off the weather radar. Let's do that right now. It's a TCAS DRA. And we're going to line up. And we're going to see if that actually helps. My suspicion is it's predictive wind shear. Only because it's something that nobody else has done yet, and it's rather complicated. Even in the real airplane, it's rather complicated to get that right. So that's my suspicion. But I'm going to check the weather radar first, and then we're going to see if the stutters are here for the takeoff. Lineup checklist. Takeoff runway confirmed. Runway 34 left is checked. TCAS TARA PAX 1 and 2 off. Cabin has been advised. Cabin crew is used for departure. Okay, taxi light coming off, and we are pretty much ready to go. So let's go ahead and take off. So lights. Nope, not that one. This one. Camera and action. Initially 1.05 EPR. Stable. And flight 68 SRS runway, auto thrust blue. Now this tail strike indicator should actually be amber or orange and not red. And I'm still seeing stutters, so I don't think it's the weather radar. although they're significantly less. 100 knots. B1 rotate. All the rate gears coming up. Nav. Alright, let's go and turn on the weather radar now. Alright. Thrust climb, auto thrust, pack 1. And of course I forgot to start the chronometer, but we're good here. 2 minutes. I'll start it now. And pack 2 coming on. This is a beautiful takeoff. Nice view. Really cool. Flaps 1. Speed check flaps 1. That is super sick. Alright, back into the flight deck. Alright, auto flap retraction, so flat relief, which is fine. And flaps up. Flap 0. Disarm the spoilers. Alright, so we are just about to reach the top of descent here. Hours and 30 minutes in. Let's go ahead and plan for it. We're going to start off by getting some weather for Barcelona. And we have 210 at 10, Cabo K 15 degrees, 2.10, QH 101, which is checked. So let's go and preselect 101. And set standard again. Okay, 15 degrees. You can also go to landing performance, verify the Zulu time, and Zulu. Nope, that is not correct. But yeah, this is still a bug that this takes the Zulu of, I don't know what, probably the departure time, what it looks like. And so I would hope this would reset. So if I were to press reset, I would hope that this would, you know, reset, but it doesn't do that. We said our winds are 210, so runway 24 right is still applicable. We're looking for 210, 10, 15, 1011, 210 at 10. We're expecting a landing weight. So 228.9er plus 17.2. That should be 230, 245, 246.1. Checked. Flaps full. We're gonna go low, reverse off, and compute. Alright. So this is, we need to check where Doha, where Qatar would normally park. But I believe it's on the other side, so we do want to leave the runway relatively soonish. So we're gonna go reverse on, and we're gonna go outer brake 2. That's about halfway. You might be better off taking runway 24 left even, because that's closer to our gate. So let's actually go ahead and do that. Yeah, the runway is relatively short, but all within margin. We can go outer brake 3, which is perfectly sufficient. Cool. So let's go ahead and change that in the arrival page. Insert. And actually, because I've noticed this on the Toliss before, I'm gonna reinsert everything just to be safe, because it actually does not always do that. There we go. That should be correct. Checking our landing elevation, it is auto and 10 feet, which is checked. Let's continue with the FMS. Radnav. We don't require necessarily, but we can go ahead and tune either El Prat or Barcelona. Let's see, 24 right. We're looking for the 25 left. Let's unpin that. Let's go 24 left. And here it needs the El Prat. So Papa Romeo Alpha on the left side, and insert that progress page. 24 left. And we'll go performance. Transition level is gonna be most likely 7-0. Winds are 210 at 10. 15 degrees, 1011. And our minimums is 210. With a missed approach of 1600. Cool. Let's copy that Go back to performance. And then let's go ahead and set the auto brake to level 3. I'm also going to go through the flight plan just in case, because last time that was a bit special. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and do the approach briefing, and then we're pretty much ready to go for the arrival into Barcelona. Alright, so landing checklist, ECAM memo, landing no blue, cabin crew, advise, cabin crew is used for landing.
Above. 200. Minimum.
Continue.
100. 50, 40, 30, 20, retard, 10, 5.
Oh, spoilers, reverse screen decel. Somebody reverse idle. I'll just disengage the auto brake. And we'll go exit to the right here. Reverser stowed. Oh, that does not look healthy. We're gonna risk it anyways.
boarding requested.
Alright, so parking checklist. Parking breaker chocks are set, engines are off, wing lights are off, fuel pumps are off. Parking checklist completed. Unfortunately, the gate is not connecting. I'm not sure why. Potentially the scenery. Anyways, that is the end of the flight. I hope you guys enjoyed this flight with the A340-600. I certainly did, and I'll look forward to future videos with this airplane, as it is a very enjoyable airplane to use for sure. Alright, we'll see you guys in the next one. Until then, have yourselves a wonderful rest of the day, and peace!